This year was chaotic, but it was not lawless. As someone who was bringing you news from the front lines from January 2025 to December, I know that there is a distinction, that there are moments when the system was slow, imperfect, and under pressure, but it still held. So these are the empowerment moments that people should feel stronger and feel empowered for it, which made me feel empowered. I'm not going to do this from an order of importance, just an order of how they happened. And the first empowerment moments was seeing that the federal district court judges were holding the line, and they understood the urgency every single time from the day one when Donald Trump issued 100 executive orders, stripping agencies, firing folks, and just going rapid fire. District court judges took quickly and acted quickly when the impacted parties came seeking preliminary injunctions, injunctive relief, and temporary restraining orders. And time again, they issued them to slow down the chaos, to slow down. And anything that a shock and awe sort of campaign needs is speed. And the facts that the lawsuits worked, the lawsuits slowed it down, and the judges appointed by multiple administrations, from Joe Biden to Barack Obama to Bill Clinton, even George Bush, even Donald Trump himself, they held the line. It was a brief but critical moment when sometimes the courts were sometimes faster than chaos. So that's empowerment number one. Empowerment number two is seeing the states. The governors, the state's attorney generals, they had our back. Donald Trump tried to bully them into coercion, and it did not work. Donald Trump tried to impound funds, and they went to courts time and time again, and the courts was like, release those funds. And I am in the docket, so I saw when they actually released the funds. A lot of times people were saying they're not abide by decisions, which there was a lot of that as well. But when pushed, the courts, the state's attorney generals kept going back time and time again, and they won. And then most recently, his offensive of sending federal troops into blue cities or cities with black mayors. Also, by the end of the year, we saw as a failure. This month, or maybe last month, Donald Trump was ordered to remove the troops that he had supplanted in LA and Los Angeles to get them out. He's like, get out. The Supreme Court, get out of Chicago. He was removed from Portland, and he's going to be removed from D.C. They're fighting that right now. So the blue states were like, you cannot militarize our cities, and we will not stand for it. So the second empowerment moment was those states and those states' attorney generals that fought for us. Thank you very much. The third empowerment moment is that the conservative courts told the line. So it was not along party lines. It was not just the liberal courts. Every conservative court, including the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which covers Texas, told Donald Trump your use of Alien Enemies Act was improper. I saw judges that were signed by Donald Trump, including Karine Edelog in Portland, including judges appointed by Republicans like Judge William Young, who said that he'd never seen racism so blatant in his 40 years on the bench, that they were going to hold the rule of law. They were going to abide by their oath to the Constitution, the oath to the office, the oath as judges, and not along ideological lines. When conservative judges says this is too far, that signals real boundaries. It wasn't about politics. It was about limits. So that was a third very good empowerment moment. The fourth empowerment moment was that the attempt towards the end of the year for Donald Trump to gerrymander his way into not losing the midterms, which is destined to happen, was when the even Trump-aligned efforts to push gerrymander was rejected. Now, it was accepted in Texas, that was challenged, and it was the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Texas said, nah, you can't do that. You can't gerrymander by race. And towards the end of the year, Indiana, those brave Indiana senators who came forward and despite the pressure was like, no, we're not doing it. And seeing conservatives reject the gerrymandering in various different states, and as requested by Trump, was a very great empowerment moment. That's empowerment moment number 4. A fifth empowerment moment was seeing back-to-back Supreme Court losses. This happened towards the end of the year, but it was great because a lot of time people were saying that the Supreme Court is just over. It's just giving up to Donald Trump. And I've said this, in the beginning of the year, the Supreme Court told Donald Trump when he asked to not be sentenced, he asked them to save him from sentencing in the New York City hush money case. And the Supreme Court said, no, this is a state matter. So they started the year rejecting Donald Trump's effort. He'd asked them to save TikTok, and they said no. And he also asked them to allow him to not pay the money owed for the USAID. And the Supreme Court, it was a 5-4 decision, said no. So the Supreme Court was rejecting Donald Trump on substance early on. In March, they told him he was wrong to deny due process rights to the men that he sent to El Salvador. Supreme Court said all of them are entitled to due process. Supreme Court told him to bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And towards the end of the year, the Supreme Court told him that they're not going to allow him to keep those troops in Chicago. Supreme Court said no. And then we also saw towards the end of the year, even Justice Kavanaugh, who earlier on had sort of green-lighted for ICE to go target people by race. He did not like his name and his legacy. The Kavanaugh stops didn't like that. So in the footnote to the Chicago case, he said, no, we're not doing that. So we see a reversal. So it's a bookmark in, but it's perfect. The Supreme Court standing up to Donald Trump and saying, this might be a mistake. So that was very empowering, and that's very empowering for me to see. It should be very empowering for you to see. I know a lot of people we don't believe it. For me, the sixth empowerment moment as someone who watched the dockets, I'm JJ Legal. If you're new here and you're the first time you're seeing me, that's what I did. I was monitoring lawsuits filed by the Trump administration and those the Trump administration filed against others. And people have been calling me the docket queens because I'm in the dockets. And if you would like to, it's a user-supported channel, so if you'd like to support what I do here, first I invite you to follow, share my videos with other people. There is a Trump survival guide on my website at jjlegal.com. If you go to jjlegal.com/support, there's other ways that you can support me. And maybe pinned to this comment if you're watching this on YouTube, or maybe in the pinned video if you're watching this elsewhere. So for me, the sixth empowerment moment was seeing when things was taken, was given back. When they returned the website, that they took down Jackie Robinson's website, they put that back. When they took down the military websites related to Tuskegee and women and Air Force, they put that back. When there were funds that were impounded, and for example, for the Radio Free America, I watched when they were saying, here's the money that was returned. When they was told to revert the policy against Perkins Co. and told Pam Bondi, write a memo reverting everything back. I'm in the dockets. I saw Pam Bondi write the memo, and they submitted on the dockets. So watching them return funds, watching them bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia, albeit it was for false things. They brought back a man they had deported to Mexico, where they weren't supposed to. They brought him back. So seeing them actually return things and show that it's critical that a reassert is not final. Law can reverse the symbolic harm, and the history is harder to delete than headlines suggest. They tried to erase, and the court said restore. So seeing those restoration moments was very empowering. It's empowerment moment number 6. Empowerment moment number 7, towards the end of the year, sunshine finally arrived. It's slowly dripping. After years of delay, long contested files demanded by victims and supported across political lines were released. Transparency arrived late, but it arrived. So you can run, but you can't delay. And we're seeing that now, and it's dripping out, and it's just the beginning of it. And that was very, very powerful. For me, a case that I follow is empowerment moment number 8 is the case that I followed intensely. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a man from Maryland, from my state, who was deported, even though he had a 2019 withholding from removal. He's never had a deportation order. He arrived in this country without authorization, but a lot of immigrants that arrived to this country, including the immigrant descendants, ancestors, whatever, all the people who are trying to take over. If you're not native, if you're not a descendant of a formerly enslaved person or a native person, your peoples came here also seeking refuge, running away from something, coming for an opportunity. And like them, he came seeking an opportunity, and he was granted a work permit, and the Trump administration sent him to El Salvador, where a judge has said not to go. And after having to be forced back because all 9 Supreme Court justices said to bring that man back and trying to prosecute him in Tennessee, he went home to his family. He spent Christmas and is going to be spending New Year's Eve and New Year's Day with his family because the house of cards broke down. There was a memo I saw leaked that said that they had put the weight of the United States government against prosecuting this man. They called him so many different names. They slandered and defamed him. Because they slandered and defamed him, a lot of members of the media, including political figures, went in front of public and defamed him. So he's going to be a rich man because I'm keeping a list. And one of my videos coming forward is tracking and saying, these are the people who you need to sue. There was a town hall meeting with a Republican in the Midwest, and he said Kilmar's a human trafficker. He said he's a human trafficker in the room. That's defamation. Sue his ass. So that was empowerment moment number 8. After being randomly picked up, Kilmar Abrego sent home that despite the full weight of the government, like people like Stephen Miller were intent on breaking him, burying him, and making him disappeared. Lies don't always win, and community matters, and sometimes survival itself is. Empowerment moment number 9 for me was seeing, after a year of people saying we're cooked, this is the end of it, We're authoritarian now. We're in a dictatorship. Rest in peace, America. The people were starting to look around and notice a pattern and see, actually, we might can get this back. It's not that bad as it is. They stopped flinching. They started realizing the courts are working. They start seeing that there was infighting amongst the Project 2025, amongst the MAGA crowd. They saw that they weren't all together. They saw the folks like lashing out and still unhappy. And we saw the FAFO moments and we relished in them. And we were just like, for people who won all branches of the government, y'all sure do look miserable. And we're over here celebrating. We're over here rallying. We're over here getting ourselves together. We're over here fighting. We're over here cheering on our wins. And towards the end of the year, the special elections, the Democrats were winning. The Democrats won Florida. The Democrats won some states, Mississippi. There was a flip. The first time that they had a supermajority, or they broke a supermajority in Mississippi. We saw a governor flip in Virginia, flips. We saw all these red to blue flips and narrowing the gap. And people started to say, wow, all those people who said, if we ever have a free and fair election again, we're not sure we have a free and fair election again. I saw people say that less because they saw us actually, because of free and fair elections, there were all these flips. Oh my God. So that was a very big empowerment moment. That number 10, part of that, related to that, is demystifying the straw man. We saw Donald Trump fall asleep at events. We saw him lumbering around. We saw his slurred, incoherent speeches. His own words went back, bite him in the ass. And the side-by-sound contradictions of people saying, Sleepy Joe, man, you Sleepy Don. So the mystique of the strong man disappeared. People started to mock him openly, and all of a sudden, it was just not as cool to back Donald Trump. And because of that, we saw the reversal of the new coalition of people who helped him get into office, like the Gen Z, especially the Gen Z boys started to leave. The Latinos, and especially those in Texas, decided to abandon him. So all those folks who voted for Donald Trump because they thought he was a strong man, they thought he was somebody who's going to keep us out of wars, he was going to bring their food prices. The food prices haven't gone down. The man is just egging to go on war. He's doing all sorts of unlawful things. People saying, this is not what I voted for. Those FAFO moments. So that strong man mystique was sort of demystified by humor. So that was a great empowerment moment. And number 11, and this is the last one, is seeing him triggered. Finally, the reversals mattered. Anyone who's easily triggered by humor, easily triggered that way, is not in control. He just would lose it. The diatribes on Christmas, he just, all the tweets, all of the mad tweets, is you're always angry, you're always mad, you're always enraged. That shows signs that you are not in control and you are angry. He did a speech and he was just yelling and screaming, and it was just beautiful. It shows that it's reversing the power dynamic. When you show that I could just poke you a little bit and you fall apart like that and you lash out and you fall, that actually shows that you've already lost. So that should make us empowered. The fact that we could just put out a joke and easily trigger him. So the end, it was empowering not because everything went right. It was empowering because of the many attempts to break us failed. Institutions hailed. Communities showed up. Fear cracked, and even the strongest image, the power couldn't survive, sustain truth, law, and laughter. That's not chaos. There's resistance working. So the resistance working has been empowering, and I hope that you're empowered, because it's a lot of things, a lot of people on here that's going to try to tell you it's the end, and they're still doing it. And stick with me through the 2026. We just started. I'm just getting my footing. I'm just getting comfortable in this space. I told you guys who follow me before that I've since transitioned away from managing clients and managing a business and working for others to doing this on a full-time basis, so I can show up for you, so I can give you great analysis, so I can bring you the wins and the victories on the other side that I hope will empower you. So interested in that, stick with me. The easiest way that you can support me is share this video with someone else you think might benefit from these empowerment moments and to see a different side of things. And check out, again, jjlegal.com to get that. I have a gift for you in exchange for your email. I have a list that includes Know Your Rights cards. It includes case trackers. It includes scripts for use when you see someone being detained. You might save a life. You might save them from being detained or for being brutalized. And you're helping us memorialize life on the other side with the Nuremberg trials, with the civil rights investigations, the oversight hearings, the criminal referrals, the state criminal referrals. And we all together, we're doing this. So that's JJ Legal. I'll talk to you soon. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put a playlist here so you can keep learning from me. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next video.